Formerly suicidal redditors, what's something that kept you alive a little while longer and helped you to get through the dark times in your lives? The only thing that kept me going was my dad. Because as much as I was hurting, I knew it would hurt him a hell of a lot more if he lost me. A hug from a friend that lasted just a little longer than normal. It let me know that someone cared about me and was willing to invest in me more than just the minimum. It gave me the tiniest spark of hope where there had been none. Sometimes it's the small things that matter most. The fear of dying, basically just too afraid to do it. I didn't want my best friend to explain to her kids what happened to me. They love me like a second mother and I helped raise them. I didn't like the idea of them sad over me. My mom's brain cancer. I have to stick around and be there for her. My nephew, who was 2 at the time, didn't want to leave my side on the day I was planning for it. Later that evening, as he was sleeping on my lap, my sister asked me to be his godmother, and if anything were to happen to her, she would want me to take care of him. It's all the little gratifications you get throughout life, like those really small accomplishments that give you a nice boost of short-term happiness. If you have enough of those in between the misery life throws at you, sometimes it's enough until you get out of it. Well, if you get out of it. Ketamine microdosed by a professional MD. Knowing that people love me and travel. The world is yet so beautiful. Often it was my dog, or the thought of my family learning about it. There was one time, when I saw a play, Born Yesterday starring Robert Sean Leonard, and that staved of the desire for 6 months. Remembering how devastating it was when my brother killed himself. I couldn't do that to my kids. I'd rather be miserable for the rest of my life than put them through that hell. I was going out to end it all when a friend texted me asking how I was doing. In the darkest time of my life, them reaching out helped me realize that I wasn't completely alone. Mucumist. The persistent thought that I didn't deserve the easy way out. Over time, the thing that has kept me alive has changed. For a while when I was younger, it was not wanting to hurt my friends and family. Then it was a morbid sense of curiosity, wondering what my amazingly bad luck would bring next. I have since taken the time to learn what I need to actually be happy and genuinely want to live. Working towards that is now what keeps me going. Just find something that helps you make it to tomorrow. Sometimes that's all it takes. Dad killed himself first and couldn't burden my family with another one. Masturbation. The blue and the guilt in case it didn't work out. I distracted myself from reality non-stop with drugs and video games until the pain had faded enough for me to take baby steps at tackling my issues and becoming healthy again. Not really that effective, would not recommend. But I'm still alive lol. My brother. He found my note about an hour before I planned to do it while looking for a lost charger. He talked me down and reminded me how loved I was. Love you, bro. I just gotta say, my religion. I know it's a touchy thing for some people and Reddit is known for hating on it, but I truly believe it's the thing that saved my life from me. My depression and self-hate stemmed from 2 things: the people around, both family and classmates, just making me feel like crap, and a disappointment in myself since I thought I was worthless and just couldn't help seeing myself as less than everyone else, like something that was expendable. I didn't care that I would die and I believed no one else would, but what ultimately stopped was trying to see stuff from God's perspective. My relationship with God was never that I better do what he says or else I'll go to hell type of thing. It was more of he made, cares, and wants the best type of relationship, like a healthy parent-child type of thing, because that was how my church taught it. And for what it's worth, and you guys may think this is cliche or something, but just the thought that I was made with a purpose for my life but I was going to waste it by killing myself really put things in perspective for me. And, like how a kid doesn't like to disappoint his parents, I just didn't want to make God sad by ending myself like that. Obviously, my depression and problems didn't just go away right then and there, but just that moment of truth really helped me finally set the building blocks down for me to reconstruct my life and finally feel like I deserved to live. Like I said earlier, I know to a lot of you religion probably doesn't mean anything and is something that our society would be better off if it didn't exist, not shaming or blaming, just pointing out the rhetoric I usually see here, but it was a lifesaver for me. Anyway, I hope you guys can understand and keep any comments civil. I didn't want to hurt my family. They were the only ones who acted about me at the time. I didn't want them to think that they had failed as parents because of my choices. My cats. Once in high school, I just wanted to see my friends one more time. Then I got accepted into a top-rated university and I told myself to just make it through the year and then I could move across the country and get away from my family. Then my senior year I figured that since the room/tuition was covered for the year, I might as well stay and enjoy it. And then for every year since then, the only thing keeping me going is a fan convention for my favorite TV show. You just gotta find something. That one thing. And then find one more after that. I didn't want to leave my mom to clean anything up by herself. The thought of how broken she would have been really hurt me. Also, my dogs were saviors. America's funniest videos. Not sure why, but they were the only thing to make me laugh in the slightest. The thought of my GSD not understanding why I didn't come home. I felt guilty about that for a really long time, my dog being alone more than my parents losing their son, but in the end, that thought pulled the gun from my head. I went home, called my dad, gave him the gun and broke down telling him how sorry I was. I got older. Seriously. I got older and mellowed out. A boyfriend of mine killed himself, so I knew what it was like to be left behind by someone you love, and I couldn't do that to my mom. We are really close and I knew her pain would be even greater cause she's my mom and I didn't want her to suffer like that. I also used maladaptive daydreaming as my coping mechanism. I've been an immersive daydreamer since I was 13, but it became maladaptive during the worst years of my depression. I was able to spend weeks and months inside my head, only coming out to eat, pee, or sleep, then I'd go right back inside my head. Months would go by and I wouldn't notice. I'm still an immersive daydreamer now, but it's not maladaptive anymore. My friend Mackenzie wouldn't have anyone to talk to if I died. I decided I wanted to one day learn to fly airplanes. That ambition and possibility shifted my perspective. First I thought I was fucked up. Then I realized the world is fucked up. Then I was like, wow, this world is extremely fucked up and I want to see what happens next. Like coronavirus? What a plot twist. I can't kill myself before seeing how it resolves. It started with smaller things like wanting to see how book series ended or if my friends would dump their shitty partners. I'm not invested in myself, but I've still got curiosity, and that keeps me not holding on but just watching this. My kids, they would have nobody if I gave up. At my lowest I didn't have the strength for it, and when I was better I always planned my perfect suicide method, how people would find me, timing, last interactions etc., to hurt nobody and make nobody feel guilty. Turns out that's almost impossible, but hey, I'm still here. I think about the debt I'd be leaving my loved ones. My husband doesn't mind right now. He says medical stuff is important and I can't skip going to appointments. That's what stops me. He's okay being poor as long as I'm there with him. I don't know where I'd be without him. Fear, honestly. Life sucks, but there's no telling what comes next. What if it's nothing? I wanted relief from pain, not to cease existing. The thought this might get better. The last season of GOT, wish I still had that crutch. I don't know how to reliably die. I just didn't want to leave my parents with that sort of hurt. I knew they would never get over it, and it hurt knowing that more than the hurt that made me want to stop living. I woke up every day nauseous, puking, passing out, dizzy, heart racing, scared, diarrhea, unable to eat. I couldn't even go to work anymore. After multiple doctors, piles of bills from them, every kind of test you can imagine. I flew home because I couldn't take care of myself anymore. I had become so weak. I didn't want to die. I just wanted to stop being tortured every waking moment. Until I tried my primary care doctor, who had known me my whole life but I never saw because I lived so far away until going back to stay with my parents. He walked in as I was puking, looked at me, asked me some questions while holding his hand on my shoulder, and told me I had an out-of-control case of anxiety that had gone on too long undiagnosed. First symptoms of dizziness and racing heart started 6 months prior and escalated every day from there. He promised me it would get better. I finally had an answer: instead of "your tests/labs are normal, you're fine," and put me on a prescription. I cried so hard after taking the first pill and feeling relief after only 30 minutes. My parents bawled after the first time in so long when I said I was hungry. My body at that point was a sunken corpse of who I used to be, with no light left in my eyes. If I hadn't thought of how much it would hurt my parents and held on a little longer, I never would have found the help I needed. After taking medication, I was me again in just 8 months, found coping skills, and no longer even needed the medication. My advice: seek help until you find an answer, never give up, and never ever be ashamed to need medication. The thought of being mentally ill was such a hard thing for me to accept because of the stigma, but it's not a title, it's a temporary problem. You will find a solution for that makes you feel whole again.